Hi guys, well, we're in the Jag cave. We've been here for the last couple of days. It's been really hot. It's been a 40-degree day yesterday and a 35-degree day today, so production wasn't real quick and we didn't get a lot done. But we've been working on the Blue XJS, now named Natasha. Don't ask me why Natasha, it's just Natasha. And coming up, first of all, we have a bigger peek under that engine bay, see what we can find in that valley. Then we might pop over to the interior and see what works and doesn't work. We hook a battery up to it. Well, I hook my booster up to it. Followed by, then we've got to get rid of that really bad fuel. We get it out of the tank. Then I've got to assess whether that tank's really worth fixing or replacing. So stay with us, and then we throw it up on the four-poster and have a look underneath it. Here we go. I've given it a bit of crank direction. I've given it a sand with Wet and Dry 2000. I didn't go really hard on it, just I could probably do a bit more. And we can tell the difference. Yeah, and that's only a start. I can fix that up a bit better. Well, my XJS purchase also came with some extras. I haven't shown you this guys yet, but this is pretty exciting if I plan to do something with this car. And it's a manual pedal box. Now, I already have a manual pedal box for XJS. It's pretty shabby condition, but it'll need reconditioning. But because it's got the Teves braking system on it, it's completely different to the earlier ones with the vacuum boosters on it. And I guess that they'd be pretty hard to get. I mean, it will need to be recode, and it costs money. But if I ever want to change it to a manual car, I've got the stuff to do it. That's really good. So that is a bonus. Let's have a closer look at this engine bay with some more light. Well, the air conditioning belt is off it, and I see that pulley down there is rusty that's meant to go around behind the power steering pump, so that'll have to come off. But the whole thing will need to be resurrected anyway because it's still on the old R12 gas. Oh, that's leaking. Oh, they've still got R12 gas in there. It's amazing after all those years. It doesn't leak as bad as R134 does. It's a more denser gas. She still has a lot of leaves in her down there, and a lot of crap. But it'll clean up all right. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is vacuum a lot of that out and blow the rest out with some compressed air. This really hasn't got a lot of oil build up on the front of that motor, so it's telling me the kilometres are pretty much correct. Over on this side, there's not much to look at. The electric motor on the Teves system and a cockroach running around there. We'll have to get rid of him. So that's a newish sphere. And I heard that motor go when we put the power onto it, so that pumped up and it went off again. So could I be lucky? Pretty dry down there, nothing leaking. Well, I was hoping there wasn't going to be any rats. Look, yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Hope he hasn't eaten much. That's why there's so much crap down this valley. He had a nest down there. Let's get it all out anyway. Yeah, she's stuffed. Okay, let's have a quick peek, look into this fuel tank. It's telling me there's only a little bit of fuel in it. So hopefully when I pull this out, whoop, bit of fuel. I think she's got more fuel in it than I think. Yeah, okay, she's got more than half a tank in it. Well, I'm not gonna, oh, and it stinks too. Well, I managed to get a siphon hose down the fuel cap, and she's pretty bad, but not all that bad, and we're getting a lot out of it. So there's a drain plug on the bottom of the surge tank underneath the car, so once we get all this out, we'll open up that drain plug and get the rest of it out. Well, I've just taken the fuel sender off and drained the fuel. She's pretty gooey in there, she's not real clean. A bit of rust down the bottom there, but we'll get all that out of it. We'll keep draining this thing. If the fuel sender gauges anything to go off, what's in that tank, it's telling me just from that what's in that tank. Mind you, it's still moving, it's not rusted. Yeah, well, as probably expected, that junk just falls off that sender easy enough. So if it's going to be falling off that sender like that, it's going to be falling off the tank and into the fuel filter and clogging the system up. So we do have an issue. We'll have to pull that tank out, unfortunately. But look, someone else told me that. He said the drain plug does not line up with the hole of the boot, and they had that. Oh, geez, that was tough to undo, but she's running out, which is all good news. We'll get that drained, get that filter off it. Well, I've been thinking about that fuel tank. I'm not going to muck around with it. It's too far gone. I'm going to order a new fuel tank. I think that goes without saying, really. It's too far gone. Well, with quick browsing, I found a few online that are for sale, and you can get them as I can get one delivered for about $1,500. I don't think that's really ridiculous for something as gorgeous as this. And you want to do it, we've got to do it right. Well, I couldn't help myself. I couldn't wait any longer to get a battery, so I've just put the booster on the back just to see what powers up inside. We see we've got a boot light, so that's pretty handy. On both sides there's boot lights. And look, there's an isolating switch for the positive side there. That can only tell me that something was drawing power and they had to have it off so the battery wouldn't go flat, but nevertheless, we'll see about that. And I'm not going to crank it by any means until we have a look at that fuel system, but let's just turn the key onto accessories. See if the windows work. Oh, it works. How about this one? Oh, it doesn't work. The left one doesn't work. Come on, left one. Worky, worky, worky. Oh. Might be just a switch. Lights. Yep. I hear something going, buzzing. Oh, it would have been the brakes pumping up. We have fans, but they're closed because we've got no vacuum. It still smells a bit mildewy in here. Okay, I don't want to turn it on too much into ignition. Didn't hear a fuel pump, but that doesn't mean anything. Oh, good, not a lot of wear. Broken clip there, but that's standard. Now those seats are going to come up a treat with a drink. It's got an aftermarket stereo system in it, and she's even got tweeters. I don't like that because it puts holes in the door cards, but they'll have to stay there, and that one's got a bit of a crack on it, so they may have to be replaced at some stage. The door cards are in good order. They don't need anything like in the Hong Kong special. It'll clean up nicely in there. And I also found this in the boot, which is a indicator and dipper switch. And the packet was a new packet. It wasn't even opened, even though it looks like it's old. It might have been new old stock. It could have been just sealed in the packet. So I'm thinking that the existing one is knackered. And it works, but see how it's crooked? It's bent. It should be unlined there, and it does go up and down, but it is loose inside on the column there, but that's only a nut and bolt thing. So that'll have to come apart. And I also worked on the windows. This actual switch works. I can hear the solenoid clicking in the door, so something's jammed in there, so that door cable will have to come off. We're going to put it away for a little while until we get that tank in. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to get yellow down from there, and she's still not going yet, and I don't want to start it yet, so we'll have to get it onto the 4 posters somehow. And I'm by myself, so I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll work on it. Aren't you going to ask how I did that?
How'd you do what?
Get the car up there by myself.
How'd you do that?
Glad you asked. I towed it with yellow Miss Daisy.
Okay. So you didn't get it going?
No, not yet. I've got to get a new fuel tank for it. I'm not going to risk it. Well, she's going to need a good clean underneath it. But that's all just cleanable. The underbody paint. It's all just very cleanable, necessary under there. But I've got it up on the hoist, and there's a few things that I just discovered, which is a real bad one. And you couldn't see it when it was under all that grass and crap. He smashed something. Looks like he's hit a gutter at speed. Done a considerable amount of damage to that guard. Yeah, that's also bent, needs some straightening up. Most of those are. We'll clean all that up, clean all underneath there. But that's a bit sad really, but okay, it's not the end of the world. But okay, what do we got under here? Well, it doesn't look too bad so far. Nice and dry. I can't see any worn parts. Only 2 sensors. The rack's dry. On both sides it's dry. Brakes are dry. They've wired this one up, but hasn't wired that one up. But they're not leaking at all. New shockies on the front at some stage, KYBs. Yes, so the belts have been changed, so that's a pretty good thing because the old belts were in the still in the car, in the boot. Pretty dry, look at that. No oil leaks. We can do some underbody painting with that cross member. And that's really peculiarly looking, that it's too dry, that pan. Maybe it's been off. Who knows? Still has its cats. That one's a bit oily. Why is that one oily? So there's a few drops of engine oil coming up down from somewhere, but she's not too serious. Yeah, that oil filter doesn't look like it was in for very long before it was changed. Grass growing in there. That rear gearbox mount looks like it's been replaced. And that the pan of the gearbox, I can't get over how sort of dry and clean this thing is under here. Really, for 33-year-old car and 100 and something thousand kilometres, 170,000 kilometres. Even though it's not a lot of kilometres. Again, really dry. I don't know why they only replaced 2 shockeys. Maybe they thought there was only 2 shockeys in the back, not 4, whoever did it. And I can look on the brakes on this side of things, and those pads are pretty much down the last 20%. And those back brakes haven't had any loving for a while. You can tell that that piston's, the rubber's corroded, and there's rust on that piston. So again, yeah, back brakes will need some work in time. A couple little drops of oil from the diff, but look how dry the back of it is. Does the exhaust look okay? No rust. There's trailing arm bushes, they look alright. Doesn't look like it's had a grease for a while, does it? Not that it needs a lot of grease in there, but and some frame mounts, it's hard to tell, but they look okay. It's still got its dust covers on for its uni joints. A lot of punters remove them when it's too lazy to put grease in them. Natasha's bum a bit of a clean now. It looks better than it did before. Couldn't have you up there with a dirty bum, Natasha.